Hello and welcome to the special edition. India today in 2025 created history. We cannot recreate that history, but we are certainly bringing together the team that made history and how we made that entire history happen. Anjana, it was a wonderful moment. We got Putin right here at the Ekaterina Hall. That's called the Catherine Hall. Anjana and I were there, and so were our team members who made the entire interview happen with President Putin. Samakya Adamuruku, he is our group managing editor, production. Yeah. Why not? Then we have Manish Mathur.
What he pulled off. What these guys pulled off.
What they really pulled off, Anjana. It was just amazing. And we'll be talking about the nerve-wracking experience. Yes, the nerve-wracking experience. So we have Manish Mathur. He heads the entire camera division of the network. And we have our senior camera person, Amit Kumar. We also had another camera person. We'll say why he is not here, Himanshu. He couldn't make it for the interview. We would have loved him to be here. He's not with us right now at the moment, but he was a part of the Moscow team. So what happened, Anjana?
I have tried various permutation and combination of sentences, but I have not been able to say anything better than it doesn't get bigger than this.
That's true. You know, every time you were writing something, like, it doesn't get bigger than this.
And that's what everyone was texting us. Huh?
True.
Yeah.
Yes, Sam, tell us. So tell us, how did you feel?
Okay, first, no, Sam, tell us when you first got to know, because this was a super secret mission. We had to keep it absolutely close to our chest.
And I'll tell you something. When Geeta Mohan made a group, you know what name she gave it? It's okay. She wrote Mission P. Capital P. Mission P. Okay.
Yeah. So and we will ask you what she felt like, but first, Sam, because it was incredible to see his face.
The whole run-up to the interview, a week before the interview, how we were holding the cards close to our chest and not telling anyone what we know, and how we were preparing. We could not tell anyone that Putin is the person that is being interviewed, and we have to prepare elements and prepare our whole system had to work towards an interview which is big, but we could not tell anyone who the interview is of.
So he had a nerve-wracking experience and also an infuriating experience, because he would tell the production team, you know, we have to create promos and creatives. There's someone big, but he just couldn't
So I kept on telling people, it's the biggest interview. And people kept on asking me, who is it? And I said, that I don't know, but I would have to hold. I mean, I would have to tell you later, but we'll have to wait. But this is the biggest, and we can't do bigger than this. And people were giving me all kind of names. I had to tell them, please wait. Let's see. I mean, even I don't know, and we would have to wait.
अच्छा, कैसा महसूस हुआ जब पता चला when you got to know कि Putin है?
I just couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. I thought that it was a joke. I thought Geeta is just cracking another of her jokes. But when I was called into a meeting and I was told that Putin is the person who is being interviewed, I felt numb for 5 minutes. Because there's no preparation you can have to be ready for that moment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Manish, how was it, the moment? Acha, यहाँ पर secrecy, but also you have to have the chief of your camera division know what to carry. तो मनीष, कैसे प्रिपेयर किया आपने और कितना सामान लेके गए हम?
सामान तो बहुत सारा था. Actually, we didn't know that whom we are going to interview.
Yeah.
Nobody told us. But even then, we prepared ourselves. That we guessed that if we are going to Moscow, then
Manish had an inkling.
You had an idea.
Manish packed everything what he could find.
And till the last minute, you know, we got our clearances of the unit from cameras, equipment from Kremlin. And then again, Sam calls me and tells me, Manish wants 2 more things added. Because I think Manish knew. Manish was like, ye bhi chahiye, fir wo bhi chahiye. And every time he was adding something or the other. So we revised the list twice over.
Actually, it took us almost 3 days to pack all the equipment.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it did.
We had 7 to 8 large bags.
Considering the fact that there was so much security, we knew that we couldn't hire anything when we went there.
Yes.
So whatever we are carrying is the final lot of equipment that we have, and we have to work with that.
Yes. So a lot of mics, extra stuff that they took in case something does not work, so on and so forth. Amit, What was the high point? Where did you feel like, ये तो बस ultimate?
देखो मैं बताता हूँ, मुझे जाने से 3 दिन पहले पता लगा कि ऐसा कुछ है और हम जा रहे हैं, और पहले मुझे बताया गया था किसी और कंट्री जा रहे हैं, लेकिन लास्ट में पता लगा कि तो मैंने पहले जिस कंट्री के लिए बताया, मैंने गर्म कपड़े रखे, ठंडे मतलब नॉर्मल टी शर्ट रखी, हाफ टी शर्ट, और बाद में पता लगा कि हम मॉस्को जा रहे हैं जहाँ बहुत ठंडा है, और इतना ठंडा था। लेकिन मुझे जो देखना था, वो जो मुझे उनका चाल जो आते हुए देखना था ना लाइव अपने सामने से, मुझे उसका बहुत मतलब अंदर से था कि मैं उसको लाइव देखूंगा। मेरे लिए उससे बढ़कर कुछ नहीं था। और वो उसी कैमरे पे मैं था जब सामने से वो उस कॉरिडोर से वो निकल के आए, और जब वो एंटर उन्होंने हॉल में किया, मुझे पता है मैं कैसे अपना कैमरा छोड़ के उनको फॉलो कर रहा था, और कैमरा मुझे आइडिया था कि मुझे ऐसे घुमाना तो आ ही जाएगा। तो उससे बढ़कर मेरे लिए कुछ नहीं था, और इंटरव्यू तो जिन्होंने किया वो बताएंगे ज्यादा।
Amit is one of the finest camera persons, not just video, because there you have Manish. Having him again, this was also a last-minute decision because he was planning on sending someone else, जो नहीं आ पाए, and then Manish knew that this is too big to give it to someone else, and that's when Manish took over. And having them is different, but Amit is also a very good photographer. तो सबको लग रहा था कि पुतिन के साथ अच्छे फोटोज तो हो ही जाएंगे, if not anything else. But Anjana, you were the first after the bosses. You were the first to be told that it's.
It was actually, it was surreal. Matlab, I still, sometimes I just sit down and just soak it in that I have done this. So it was just like, you know, settling in. I could not understand, is this really happening or is it not happening? And even then, we were waiting for the final meetings to happen and all that was supposed to happen. But the most interesting part was that, I'll tell you, I'll give you some inside information in how Geeta was handling it. So it was Geeta's plan that we both should not be seen together in the newsroom.
Oh, yes.
And we were avoiding each other so that, you know, people would not start guessing and things, what's happening, what's cooking.
I was planning, we were planning a lot of things, and I could not avoid being in our boss's room. And so Sam, I, and Supriya Prasad, who's the news director of the network, we could not avoid being in the room. So I just told Anjana, no matter what, you're not coming and sitting where I am. Because if anybody sees us together,
I think
God,
that triggered the first round of guesses that people were making. And just going back to what Manish said, he also probably thought that it's Putin because we were going to Moscow and then the whole thing was happening like that. But, you know, I have to tell you something. Like
Talk about the prep.
The prep was all good. I mean, it was like any interview, but it was also that, you know, I always anchor for Aaj Tak. So I'm like, Namaskar, aap dekh rahe hain Aaj Tak. So when we were in Moscow, I was like, hello and welcome. You're watching India Today. And it ended up becoming such a thing that all of us were...
Because anybody who'd come to serve her, she'd say hello and welcome. And, you know, there's a startled, you know, a lady waiting on her. So she did that to a lot of people. She did that on the aircraft. She did that at restaurants. She did that in the hotel restaurant.
Okay,
everywhere.
thank you.
Hello and welcome.
Okay, thank you, Geeta.
No, but the prep was really interesting.
Okay, now
we could not prepare, we could not really work on our questions and how we're going to conduct the interview in office. So we chose another place. We had our bosses. We had Kali join us.
We were sitting in cafes with lovely coffee and, you know, discussing all that.
We'll show you tidbits of how we did it.
But I want to go to my best moments from this interview. With Sam, it was that moment when we got to know that on Tuesday we can't do the interview. And
why couldn't we do the interview? Pray tell.
Because Mr. Witkoff, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were right there in Kremlin talking to Mr. Putin in another room, probably just close to us. It was such a moment we can't tell you.
So get this, we had the entire ad ready and out, and we were waiting over there. The ads had gone into the newspapers. Times of India sleeps early. Indian Express doesn't sleep early. They had prepared. The setting was there. We were all prepared and waiting. और फिर क्या हुआ, Manish? How did it feel जब वो message आया?
No, we got very anxious and worried whether we will get this interview.
The moment of doubt came in. एक doubt आ गया.
Actually, it was a matter of prestige for us.
Yeah.
So then the next morning we had a conclave there. So we had to took half of the equipment back.
Yes.
And then next
वही
day
मैं
we
वो
came
समय
back.
का सामाख्या का एक्सप्रेशन आपको बताना चाह रही थी जो she gotten, but सामाख्या was like he is right now. Like you can take a tight frame of his face.
Yeah.
He was like this.
And as he
हो
Sam को
जाएगा।
आके बोला,
3 कर लेंगे। And यहाँ पे frantic calls हो रहे हैं कि ऐड ना निकल जाए, जल्दी से रोकना है एक ऐड को, चलो उसमें tomorrow लिखना है, because we were shocked कि कल मिल जाएगा, लेकिन वो करना था। And Sam is like 3 यहाँ छोड़ देंगे, 2 वहाँ छोड़ देंगे, वहाँ पे जब आ जाएगा तो यहाँ पे अगर कॉन्क्लेव करना है तो
he's calculating cameras की conference है, वो conclave है, conclave में
मेरे लिए उससे भी
कितने
ज़्यादा चैलेंजिंग था। The first challenge, semi-final challenge था कि there were some medical tests which we had to undergo.
Oh yes.
That was the semi-final test
one
before the
delay
final.
meant one more RTPC.
So there is a protocol in Russia. If you are going to be in a room where President Putin is, you have to have the RT-PCR test 3 days in a row before the day of the meeting or before the day where you have to be in that room. And so we had to get our RT-PCRs. Unfortunately, which is why we relied a lot on their photography. Our India Today head photographer, brilliant guy, Bandeep Singh, could not make it because he had common cold. He just had common cold.
It's the rhinovirus.
The rhinovirus. And he was, and it's not just, RT-PCR is not just COVID test. कितने थे?
17 या 18 वायरस थे और 3-4 बैक्टीरिया।
We were in Russia, it was extremely cold, and we had to take care that we could not catch common cold.
So in
before
the group,
interview.
on the group before going, I'm like, betadine, gargle, everyone.
And what was at
Stay
stake for us,
warm.
Geeta, you and me, like,
Yeah.
it was like after reaching there, if one of us had any of these viruses or bacteria,
every time they would put that the bud to test us, and we were all in prayers like, God, please, because they're like about 29 tests.
Yeah,
They're
before
testing
each
you for
test, we used
everything.
to gargle with
Gargle,
the
clean
vitamins
up,
all.
and
The anticipation of waiting for the test result every day
Yeah.
to find out whether we could go to the interview or not
Yeah.
God.
was so much tense.
The last day was really bad. I already had a little pain in my throat, so I was so scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
So scared.
Also because we were walking from one hotel to the other, and the walk itself, your nose freezes up, it's so cold, and then yes, you have a little bit of runny, watery nose, but that's not common cold, that's why we test. And unfortunately, Himanshu, that's what I was saying in the beginning of the show, Himanshu could not make it because he tested, again, after reaching Moscow, tested positive for common cold, which is what Bandeep had over here in Delhi and could not go, and Himanshu could not enter Kremlin after testing positive for that. But that certainly was a real scare. Okay, experience. Catherine Hall, the Ekaterina Hall, which is what you're looking at right now, is a place where very few world leaders have gone.
Yes.
And we all were there. We experienced it, and Sam acted like boss because can't tell you how professional, Anjana,
Absolutely.
how
Unbelievable.
professional these guys were.
The Russians were baffled. They were like, they gave us this place. So this side that you see, can you pull a longer view? The curtains that you see on one side, these curtains that you see on my right, they said we usually put a frame. They'd already set the camera, right,
Yeah,
when
there's
we
a
entered.
carpet. If you see Tucker Carlson's interview, that's the place. They
the
put
place.
a carpet, layer carpet.
There's the
and
backdrop
there's a
of this
table
curtain
chairs.
and they just set the cameras and they've done it. And our team walks in and these people are like, nahi, yahan pe kaise, we chose this place.
So
like,
Sam looked at the statue and he came up to me, he said, can we do it there? And then, Alexei, the second in command of the press office is there. And then we walked up to him, we said, can we do it here? And then, Sam looked very certain. He said, no, we want to do it here. We want to do it here. And they were also so professional.
Absolutely.
They said,
They were
absolutely.
very accommodating.
How many
They
hours
were
did we
so
take to
good.
put up that entire setup? Kitna time laga tha hame?
सेटअप में तो हमने अच्छा सेटअप करना था तो हमें डेफिनेटली थोड़ा टाइम लगना था लेकिन हमें टोटल मिला के 4 घंटा लगा जिसपे हमने ऑडियो वीडियो एंड लाइटिंग और जितना
आप लोगों ने क्रेमलिन से भी लाइटिंग
कितने कैमरास थे हैंडल्ड मिलाकर सब
हैंडल मिला के हमारे टोटल
7 कैमरे
7 कैमरे गोप्रो गिम्बल क्लोज ओटीएस
कुछ
other
नहीं
OTS.
छोड़ा, कुछ ही नहीं छोड़ा हमने.
और लाइट्स आपने क्रेमलिन से मांगा, उन्होंने वो भी दिया. They were really good. They know how to do this, right, Sam? उनको पता है. They knew how to do this.
They were very professional, very accommodating. हम जो मांग रहे थे, हमारी हर बात मान रहे थे. जो हमारे लिए सरप्राइजिंग भी था.
Sam, high point.
हाई पॉइंट था कि हाई पॉइंट तो वो मोमेंट ही था.
You know,
The moment when he walked in.
Manish?
Yeah, same. When he walked in, ऐसा
There
लग
was
नहीं रहा
pin
था.
drop silence.
उससे पहले मुझे लग नहीं रहा कि
तो ये
पुतिन
भी लग
आएगा
रहा था कि
उधर.
इतने टेस्ट हुए, हाथ मिलाएंगे नहीं मिलाएंगे, और then he just comes like this. अमित?
मेरा हाई पॉइंट तो उन्होंने बताया कि जैसे वो एंट्री किया मुझे वो देखना था. और सबसे बड़ी बात थी वो जो फ्लोर था वुडन का था. तब मैं गिम्बल लेके जैसे ही वॉक करता था शूट से पहले तो वो वुड का था तो ऐसे आवाज करता था. तो फिर मैंने अपने शूज उतारे और मैंने पूरा शूट सॉक्स में किया. और जो मेरा फाइनल फोटो भी है तो उसमें सॉक्स में खड़ा हूँ और सब शूज में है. तो बेस्ट पार्ट यही था मेरा.
अमित ने वहाँ दो कैमरे हैंडल किए, गिम्बल और एक और कैमरा, और जगह जगह जाके अलग एंगल से शूट किया. तो ऐसा लग रहा था कि वहाँ करीब 4-5 कैमरामैन गए हुए हैं.
और एक कैमरा तो हमारे
हर एंगल से हर एंगल कैप्चर.
एक कैमरा पर्सन तो Sam बन गए, and Supriyo came on the floor because otherwise Sam was not there to handle.
Took over as the production.
Took over as the production in charge. हमारा leadership वहाँ पर था. The moment for me, it really meant a lot to me because for me it was a lot, many years of following Anjana. So for me, when I stood there, for me it was just almost feeling like, you know, when you manifest something. For me, it was that moment. When I stood there, even without President Putin there, when I stood there and I took a moment just to see, and that we've arrived, that we're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That the network has arrived. We really shook the floor off.
And what a year to do this, because it's 50 years of the India Today magazine. It's absolutely like it's like the culmination of a lot of efforts and years, because we were told, Geeta, there that they did in-depth research for 3 months and they figured out that this is the network that they want to trust and this is the network that has followed the most. So that also builds the courage and the strength in all of us that every person in this organization who puts in their hard work has been acknowledged with this interview.
That's true.
For me,
What's
the best
your high
moment.
point?
Yeah.
What's your high point?
My high point was when I started noticing him settle into the interview. I saw that they had promised us 60 minutes, but I knew that now he just wants to go on. Yeah. And I'm telling you, if Alexei had not got Kalipuri and Arun Puri from the other side, he would have gone on for another 60 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was responding to the questions. Like the first question was like, I just wanted a little easing up. So I was like, how are you? But he probably thought it's a question about everything. So he went into a long format answer. But after that, I realized that he's getting involved in the questions.
Yeah.
And that's your moment. That's ये journalist की छोटी-छोटी खुशियाँ यही होती हैं कि आप जो पूछ रहे हैं वो सामने वाला आपको जवाब देने को तैयार हो.
Also, his body language showed the comfort.
Also the
if
fact
you
that
see him
100
in
minutes.
other interviews, 100 minutes.
100 minutes.
And I could see him easing down into the interview because I've interviewed a lot of people and you see in them this
Body language.
the body language.
Asked, every question answered.
Yeah.
Every question. He did not.
And no questions asked. The questions.
Also, yes, to our viewers, just to let you know, every time you're interviewing someone big, you think that you're sending questions, especially if it's somebody like President Putin. So a lot of questions were asked of me whether if we had sent prior questions. And let me tell you this, for any leader to prepare for an interview, broad areas is something they would expect. And when we were having our logistics discussion with the Kremlin, and there were areas that we were discussing, and I was going into a bit of specifics, Alexei told me very clearly, Geeta, I don't want your questions. We did not ask for your questions. We don't want your questions. We only wanted broad areas because we want the president to be prepared. So they didn't ask for questions. And we were free to ask whatever we wanted to.
That
a lot
was
of
the best
people,
part.
Anjana will say, well, then why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask that? To me, sitting where we are, the geopolitics of the day, we wanted to focus on things that were really important in the time frame, which for us was just 60 minutes. So what was agreed upon was 60 minutes, and we wanted to confine ourselves and get the most out of him in
and
those
we were balancing so many things at that time, if you remember,
it's
Geeta.
A
we had an
thing, he gave us 100 minutes.
We had this audio that we had to listen to, and still counter him on certain things, like so did Witkoff and Jared Kushner tell you to join G8 if you stopped the war, things like that. We had a huge iPad in front of us. We had this machine, this translator. In which on Channel 2 you hear the English translation. Yes. That's also quite a thing.
But they're quite professional about that.
Double
also.
the remote size that you have at your home. So we're just giving you a figure of to something to understand what we were tackling in our. Because when people got nothing to say, people were discussing.
Why did you have
discussing our shoes?
Why were you cross-legged and all of that? I'm sorry. We sat the way we thought, according importance and respect to the leader, but also ensuring that we don't fumble
or drop the
iPad or look fidgety. So we're just trying to be very proper when we were sitting down. Having said that, we are completely running out of time.
No, I have one quick question for everyone. One great observation that you made. One observation. That was
I just wanted to know your thought on Putin, briefly, quickly.
That he commands power. When he walks into a room, he owns the room.
He owns the room.
He looks around very sharp. He stands straight. He looks directly into your eye while talking to you. I was, while AP and KP and Geeta and Anjana were talking to Putin, I was around him and taking pictures, and he looked into my camera, looked at me and smiled.
Yeah.
He was
there.
He was there, completely involved, hands-on.
Manish, quickly.
Yeah, I didn't feel that Putin being a great leader and one of the
biggest leader
of the world. He was so comfortable and humble. He was totally relaxed.
Okay.
He was just turning around.
क्या लगा? Just briefly, please.
Briefly ये है कि जब बिल्कुल क्लोज था तो मैंने एक सेल्फी लिया फोटो और उन्होंने मुझे ऐसे देखा, मतलब मुझे ऐसे आंखों में आंखें डाल के देखा और हल्का सा आंखों से स्माइल किया या मतलब थोड़ा सा था तो अच्छा वो जितने लोग थे वो सबको बड़े नोटिस करके उन्होंने एक बार दो बार सबको देखते थे बहुत तरीके से एकदम उनको पता था कि कौन क्या कहाँ पे क्या है कैसे बात कर रहे हैं किससे कौन क्या कर रहा है तो बड़ा अच्छा मोमेंट था.
अंजना?
Again, I'm just in that interview, and I'm sure every journalist who's worth his profession always thinks after an interview that ये भी पूछ लिया होता. I'm like, I have sleepless nights after every interview that I do कि ये छूट गया या ये पूछ लिया. But in that interview, because it spread over 100 minutes, the way he was easing into the interview was my biggest concern because we were asking him questions on Ukraine, on Kyiv, on everything. So the way he was, and he had made direct eye contact in every question. And even like questions I was saying, you have said that Kyiv is the mother of all Russian cities. What are you planning to do? You want to make an empire out of Russia again? He's just smiling back and, responding to it like any person.
To me, maybe this was the biggest takeaway, clarity.
Yeah.
He spoke with clarity. He knew exactly where he stands in the world order, and he knows exactly where he wants to take Russia.
One more thing. He carried himself very gracefully. When you have world leaders who are out there abusing each other, calling each other idiots, here was a man whom we asked multiple questions on Trump. Not one did he speak against Trump as an individual, but he spoke against America and its policies.
That's true. That's true. He is a statesman who's seen power for too many years, has been a world leader for too many years. To not be statesman-like is not him anymore. With that, we'll wrap this show. Sam, Manish, Amit, Anjana,
Geeta.
and Geeta over here. We're all signing off. And it was a great pleasure telling you exactly what happened behind the scenes.